There's a moment in One Piece where silence weighs more than any line of dialogue. A panel so still, it feels like even the paper remembers what came before, when Imu whispered, "Mu's world is not yet complete." It didn't sound like a threat, it sounded like guilt, a confession wrapped in divinity. Because Imu is not simply a ruler of the world, they are the world. Its memory, its cage, and its lingering heartbeat. And the Davy clan, the Buccaneers, the cursed bloodline hunted since the Void Century, are the last living witnesses to what that world once was. What we're uncovering today isn't a wild theory or some fan fiction stitched from fragments. It's the story Oda has been carving into the background of every war, every rebellion, every smile. The story of the god who betrayed paradise and of the family who refused to kneel. The kingdom beneath the waves. Long before the Red Line split the planet into 4 seas, there was one continuous land. A single supercontinent called Mu. It was a civilization so advanced that even Vegapunk's brilliance looks like a nostalgic echo of it. Cities powered by eternal energy, skyborne transport lines, machines that talked to the sea. They had already solved the problems the world is still killing itself to answer. But every age of light eventually casts its own shadow. In Mu, that shadow took shape as ideology. They worshipped 2 forces that kept their world in balance. The sun, symbol of freedom, growth, and constant rebirth, and the depths, symbol of memory, order, and preservation. The priests of the depth called that current of eternal remembrance Davy. It's the same root that echoes in Davy Jones, Davy Backfight, even in the middle initial D that the world government fears. And at the very center of this dual faith sat a sovereign whose role was not to rule, but to preserve the harmony between light and shadow. That guardian was Imu, a name that would one day mean negation itself. But even balance corrodes when one side refuses to yield, and eternity is always one argument away from tyranny, the betrayal of Mu. When the scholars of Ohara spoke of a great kingdom, this is what they meant. But the tragedy of Mu isn't that it was conquered, it was betrayed from within. Imu, sworn protector of equilibrium, began to see freedom as the seed of decay. The sun encouraged imagination, change, and change threatened perfection. So to keep paradise perfect forever, Imu tried to stop it from breathing. Dreams were rewritten into laws. Curiosity was reclassified as sin. Mu's pulse slowed under the weight of its own order. Among those who rebelled was a warrior lineage devoted to the sun, a clan who believed paradise must breathe, evolve, even die to be reborn. They called themselves the Davy clan. Imu saw their creed as the ultimate heresy. The first great purge began, not of people, but of possibility. Ideas burned more brightly than any city, and one by one, Imu snuffed them out. The Davy clan was hunted across the continent. Their bodies became experiments in obedience. When the ancient texts mention the curse of the Buccaneers, they're not using metaphor. They're describing a scientific apocalypse. Imu's new art of inversion, using the power later known as Domi Reversi, black conversion control, Imu turned the natural order inside out. Light became shadow, laughter became agony. Even joy itself, the power that connected humans to the sun, was weaponized against them. The Davy clan's vitality, their resilience, even their physical size, was born from resisting that divine corruption. They became larger than life because life itself was pushing back. When chapter 1162 shows the surviving Davy on God Valley mutating into monsters,
The Gorosei don't react in horror, they react in recognition. It proves Imu has used this technique before, and the Saturn have already witnessed this transformation.
they are its inheritors. The celestial dragons, those self-proclaimed gods, are not descendants of light. They are the offspring of the half-corrupted who survived Imu's rewriting, custodians of a paradise built from guilt. The meaning of Imu, Oda's wordplay, never lies. Mu is the lost kingdom. Prefix it with E, the Japanese negation, and you get Imu, the undoing of Mu. Imu isn't the heir of that civilization. They are the shadow, the remnant of control that devoured its creator, the guardian who became the jailer. That's why they rule from the dark while preaching order.
When Imu erased the Great Kingdom, they didn't obliterate it. They folded it inward. The red line became its tombstone,
Hollyland its petrified heart. The oceans that divide mankind are the scar tissue sealing that wound. The Davy clan's last stand. Centuries later, that cursed bloodline still pulsed beneath history's floorboards. The world called them Buccaneers, giants among men with unbreakable bodies and hearts that refused to yield. Bartholomew Kuma carried that legacy, and if the pattern holds, so does every soul who bears the mysterious initial D. Because D doesn't stand for danger, dawn, or destiny. It stands for dream, the echo of the sun's laughter buried under centuries of propaganda. The will of D is literally the will of the Davy clan. The ancient oath to bring light back to a world trapped in eternal night. Every smile before death, every act of rebellion that ends in a grin is that oath remembering itself. That's why when Rock's D Xebec challenged the world, Emu didn't curse his name, they called him Davy Jones. It wasn't insult, it was recognition, memory resurfacing, like a corpse that refuses to sink. Rock's D Xebec, the heretic king. Rox wasn't born a monster they portrayed him to be. He was born remembering. In his veins ran the static of an older age, the whisper of the Davy blood. He married Iris, a descendant of that same line, and together they dreamed of a world without thrones, without celestial cages. Their child would live free, unbranded by the gods. But Emu's curse runs deeper than blood. In chapter 1163, Domi Reversi infects Rox himself, twisting him into the very demon the world already believed he was. The same inversion that once turned gods into buccaneers now claimed their avenger. Even as his body warped, he begged Roger and Garp to end him before the corruption consumed his mind completely. It was more than tragedy, it was symmetry. Rox mirrored Joy Boy's fall. Two liberators crushed, not by weakness, but by recursion, each rebellion looping until someone learns how to laugh through it. The eternal cycle of God and rebel. Emu's goal has never been simple domination, it's completion. A world so perfect it never needs to move again. No war, no chaos, no freedom, no pulse. And every few centuries that frozen perfection fractures. A Davy rises, a sun reappears, a laugh cracks the marble of eternity. Joy Boy in the Void Century, Rox in the Age of Pirates, Luffy today. Each rebellion burns brighter. Each failure leaves a bigger crack in the wall. And through those cracks, sunlight seeps back in. Why the world government fears the Buccaneers? To the world government, Buccaneers aren't property. They're mirrors reflecting everything wrong with the system. Every time one survives, the illusion of divine purity wavers. Kuma's rebellion wasn't political, it was existential. A buccaneer kneeling to protect a human defies the blueprint of Emu's hierarchy. It's the worst kind of glitch. Compassion coded where obedience should be. That's why Saturn called him a sin that must be erased. When Rock stood before Emu and whispered, "I believe we are looking at the world itself," he wasn't speaking metaphor. He had realized that Mu never truly died. It metastasized. The Red Line, the Holy Land, the system of Tenryubito, all pieces of Emu's fossilized body still pretending to live. To destroy the government would mean to tear apart the corpse of a god. And so, amid the blinding clash of hockey and light on God Valley, we didn't witness a war between pirates and marines. We witnessed creation trying to eat its creator. Rox, Roger, and Garp. Three mortals throwing punches at eternity. Look closely and Oda paints Emu not as a cackling villain, but as a lonely curator, the last survivor of a dream that rotted into duty. A consciousness forced to watch every age rise, rebel, and fall back into silence. When Emu told Rox, Mu's world is not yet complete, it wasn't arrogance, it was despair. They can't stop rebuilding the same cage because admitting imperfection would mean admitting fault. And gods, in One Piece, are simply mortals who can't apologize. Joy Boy's laughter, Nika's dance, the Sun Pirate's symbol of liberation. All of it traces back to the Davy clan's first creed that joy is the highest form of defiance. Emu governs through fear. The Davy line resists through laughter. That's why every D smiles at death. It isn't arrogance, it's a ritual. a laugh offered to the abyss as proof that the fire still burns. When Luffy grins at an impossible enemy, he's not mocking them, he's invoking the memory of every rebel who ever refused to die quietly. He's reminding the world how to breathe, the world as Imu's body. The greatest secret isn't hidden in text, it's in topology. The red line's unnatural curvature. All of them are symptoms of a living planet enslaved by its own brain. The world government isn't ruling the world, it's operating its nervous system. Imu is that consciousness diffused through stone and sea. The Gorosei act as synapses, the Tenryubito as parasites that justify the body's suffering. Every act of genuine freedom, Fisher Tiger freeing slaves, Robin reading forbidden words, Luffy laughing in defiance, is a fever spike in that body. Proof the system is rejecting itself. The world is trying to remember what it felt like to move. When Rocks lay dying, his last words to Garp and Roger weren't vengeance, they were mercy. Me before I everyone. He knew Imu's corruption was crawling through his veins, and he refused to let the cycle claim another generation. It's the same choice Joy Boy made centuries before, and the same one Luffy will face. Whether to become another Imu, a god, preserving peace through stillness, or to shatter the loop completely and let the world laugh again. The very first chapter told us the price. To find the One Piece, you must risk everything. Not treasure, not fame. The risk is rewriting the shape of the world itself. Imu's real fear, they don't fear death, they fear irrelevance. Because when the world starts laughing, gods fade like fog in daylight. That's why the coming war won't be about good and evil. It'll be about memory. A world that wants to sleep forever versus a species that refuses to stop dreaming. Every rebellion in One Piece, Fishman Island, Skypiea, Dressrosa, Egghead, is a rehearsal for the finale. Each time, a tyrant falls, a symbol of freedom rises, and somewhere in the Holy Land, Imu looks at the sky and frowns. But after chapter 1165, it's too late to contain it. The Davy will has metastasized. It lives in every laugh, in every friendship, in every refusal to bow. Imu can erase kingdoms. They can wipe memories, but they can't delete joy. Because joy in this universe is truth remembering itself.
When that final bell rings and the red line crumbles, it won't just be a victory for pirates. It'll be the end of a god's nervous system and the rebirth of the real world beneath it. Luffy won't defeat Imu in the traditional sense. He'll free them, force the negation of Mu to remember the light it came from. Because in Oda's cosmology, even devils deserve dawn. The world will wake up and Imu will finally rest. And when that happens, the last words of the Davy clan will echo through every corner of the sea. Laugh, because you're alive. So who is Imu? They are the ghost of perfection, the fear of change that every civilization carries. And the Davy clan are the flaw that makes life beautiful, the crack in paradise where sunlight gets in. History will call them demons, but when the world finally laughs again, it will realize that those demons were gods all along.